Notice how those sandstone units over there look like they're vertical? Well, they actually are. These are upturned rocks, and we call these hogbacks. Hogbacks are a large-scale geologic feature consisting of a long, narrow ridge of rocks that essentially appear to be shooting out of the surface of the Earth. And while that's not entirely wrong, it's also not the full picture. So today we're going to journey to Utah, where we can find some great examples of hogbacks and learn more about what these are and how they form. Hogbacks form from steeply dipping strata, or said easier, it's basically tilted rocks. This long ridge of rocks can appear as a series of V-shaped crests, hence giving way to the name hogbacks. So how do hogbacks form? Well, imagine the original forming of sedimentary rocks. We have a bunch of sediment that's laid down. Maybe it's ocean sediment, maybe it's terrestrial. It lays down one layer on top of another. We call this original horizontality. But over time, many millions of years, these rocks can become tilted. These rocks will be subject to the powers of wind, water, and gravity, and they will erode away. But being that these rocks source from different grains, they also make different types of rocks in these layers, and thus they erode at different rates. It's this differential erosion that tends to remove relatively more of the softer units, such as shales, while leaving behind the harder, erosion-resistant layers, such as those sandstones. Sandstones like these can represent ancient near-shore environments, like beach sands. These are the sands that made dunes along beaches hundreds of millions of years ago, and what we know of as the Weber sandstone, which is this Pennsylvanian to Permian sandstone that's fine-grained, pretty uniform, and you can find it around Utah. You can see down in the valley below these veils of these plateaus that look like veils of sediment. Those are fine, silty type sediments, and those are representing the Mancus shales. So if I climb up and I'm standing on top of a ridge like this, I wouldn't necessarily be correct if I said I'm up on a hill. This might seem like a technicality, but geomorphologically speaking, hills and hogbacks are quite different. If I ask you to imagine a hill, you probably picture something like this, with these steep sides, a dome-shaped top, otherwise known as convex. Hogbacks, on the other hand, have a flat, often hard rock surface on one side, while the other side is a gently inward-sloping concave shape. The hill would be a steep descent for our goat, while the hogback would represent a gentle saunter. Although if you've ever seen the sheep and goats navigate these rocks and ledges, you know they do pretty well on just about any surface. You may have also heard of a cuesta, which is a similar landform of tilted strata, but more gently sloping. Here in this little cut, this stream has cut into the bank, and you can really see the vertical nature of these rocks. You can see how the beds are pretty much almost vertically oriented there. Similarly, a multi-layer ridge of tilted rocks that forms a series of prominent rounded triangles is referred to as flatirons. Tilted rocks make for some picturesque landscapes. Some other places where you can view hogbacks and related landforms include this one, a hogback near Lake Mead, where dipping rock layers are made of Miocene-aged rocks, over 10 million years old. They consist of the Horse Spring Formation, a limestone made from a shallow lake that formed when our continent was literally beginning to stretch apart, and in the foreground we see the related Miocene red sandstone. Another great place to see tilted rocks is the Grand Hogback of Colorado. Here in western Colorado is a 90-mile-long ridge, making it one of the longest hogbacks in North America. It's made of erosion-resistant rocks of the Mesa Verde Formation. Sediments that make these rocks were from a swampy seashore and delta region that existed here 100 million years ago. Now, they're layered sandstones, shales, and coals, seen in western Colorado, right along I-70. And while you're in Colorado, don't forget to check out the Dakota hogback and flatirons, seen in this NASA satellite image, found just west of Boulder. And if you really want an out-of-this-world experience, Mars even has hogbacks. That's right, seen in this NASA image are the long erosion-resistant tilted rocks that make up the hogbacks and Cuestas, a region that's been targeted for studies of ancient groundwater flow on Mars. I mentioned a lot about sedimentary rocks and formations today, and I couldn't go over all of it in this one video, but I did just complete a video all about how sedimentary rocks form. So if you want to brush up on how sedimentary rocks form, definitely check out that video. Otherwise, I'll see you here on the next geo adventure here at Let's Go Geo.